know what they said about the story about pumping out of the stomach, right?
Let's not talk about that.
That was Rod Stewart, and then I heard it again. It was Bon Jovi in the 80s. Yeah. Hey, what's up, guys? Michael Ray Newman here, Inside the Edge podcast. Appreciate y'all joining us today. I got to my left, I got the great Kevin E. Oh, Kevin E's on the left. I'm dyslexic. Kevin E's over here. I got Edwin and Kevin in studio. We're having fun.
What's up, fellas?
What's up, everybody? Hey, so what was your best concert ever?
Who wants to go first?
You, Kevin E, man.
You want me to go first?
You probably are former. Yeah, you're the golden voice.
Man, I really loved seeing. It's funny you brought up Rumors because I loved seeing Fleetwood Mac. That was killer because I was in the nosebleeds, and so they still looked exactly the same from that far away.
Yeah,
which was cool.
Good from afar.
And it was when Christine McVie was and Stevie Nicks. It was the whole package, which was great. But I saw AC/DC twice, so I think I have to say they're my favorite.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, they were rocking it, man.
That's a good call. You know what? Speaking of being in the nosebleed, my first concert was Rush.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
I went to my mom. I was 15, and I was about to be 16, I think. And then my friends love Rush. I was like, man, then take him. I liked the Tom Sawyer and a couple of things. But then I went to my mom, and mom said, go ask your dad. And I went to my dad, and I said, he goes, what'd your mom? He goes, go ask your mom. I said, I did. And what did she say? I said, she says, all right. I got busted, man. And the ticket was going to cost like $14. And I had to drive, so drove my truck. Me and Chris Swilling, Sean Middleton jumped in front of the truck, went, and we had nosebleed seats, sat in the very top of the nosebleed, and I fell asleep. I think I got stoned for the first time. I wasn't even sure. So I fell asleep during the concert. What about you, E?
Let's see. My first concert was Boston, and I had kind of the same story. I asked my
stepfather.
No. I asked if I could go, and he said absolutely not. And I said, well, everybody's going. You know how that went.
Oh yeah.
I tell you, my worst, man. I went to see REM, and I was just not an REM fan. No, if you're an REM fan out there, don't send me any hate letters, right? But I walked out in the middle of it, man. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What about you, Kevin E? Worst concert?
Oh, I can tell you my worst for sure. It was such a letdown.
You're a grandpa in a young man's body, by the way. You like
when it comes, yeah, I really am.
You like love classical. You like all kind of music.
I was born in the wrong
man, you're perfect. So what is it now?
The Black Keys, man, and I love the Black Keys.
Really?
Yeah, but they didn't play any of their hits and stuff that I like. You know, it was all new stuff and tracks I'd never heard of, and it was a huge letdown.
Man.
But the first one, and I don't want to say the first one.
What was it?
Kind of embarrassing. Well, I like to think of myself as kind of a rock and roll type guy when it comes to music. Shania Twain's first one.
Ain't nothing wrong with Shania Twain, man.
Nothing wrong with Shania Twain, baby.
No, just not the most rock and roll.
You are definitely a rocker. If people that don't know, Kevin E was Eagle 97 DJ.
That's right, back
here
in the day,
Dallas,
one time.
Fort Worth. He was a beast, and you can tell by his voice he's got some golden pipes for sure. The worst concert I ever went to was Journey, and I like Journey. But we went to them when they had the new singer, and it was just a couple of years ago. I didn't even want to go. We went up. We sat again way up high, cheap. We got there, and there was hardly anybody there. We had seats way up, and apparently we were having such fun because I'm talking to my buddy John Allen and Jeff Talkhorn, and their wives were there, and they were hooping and hollering, having fun, and we were talking. You're not going to believe this. A Journey concert. Somebody came up and said, we're being too loud.
Wow.
What? The security guard, they went and got the security guard. I'm up there, and I was livid. I never get upset at people, and I started getting fired up.
I don't blame you. That's pretty bad,
I stood up. I said, what? Are you kidding me? I started looking around saying, who did it? Are you kidding me? You're at a concert. You're at a rock concert. I'm being louder than guys on stage. That means you got to turn it up. You guys are too old to be. I was hot.
Yeah.
I will admit, I did feel like when I saw James Taylor that when I talked to the person next to me, I needed to whisper.
I could hear
it. Was that quiet in the audience.
But this was Journey, man. You're out there, and they're just ripping it up. And
don't stop believing.
Yeah, don't stop believing. Yeah, that's right. I couldn't believe it. So that was that by the way that the crowd treated us. I left that. I said, we're never going to an old people concert again, ever. And I'm the old person, but we have.
Can I weave one more in, man? I know we got to get to our topic.
We get to our topic. Sorry about that.
There's a point inside of this.
Yeah, you can fast forward through this, guys. You don't know about that.
Yeah, but the surprise concert, like I saw Bob Seger early in his deal, and of course, I knew Bob Seger was going to be great, right? And then he was. But I saw him several times afterwards. What surprised me, man, is I did not realize the impact that Alto Reed was his saxophone player. And that dude was phenomenal. All I could remember was the saxophone player. I might have had a beer or two at that concert. Yeah. I'm not sure. But anyway, man, let me just tell a quick story on that, right? And this goes to perseverance for you guys. You got an idea. You got something you're trying to work on. One of Bob Seger's most famous songs, Kevin E., you'll know it. Obviously, you will. Night Moves. Bob
Yeah,
Seger, Night
it's a
Moves.
great tune.
Right?
Love
Great
it.
tune, man. Right about
I set off the
high
back
school.
of the boat dock fishing.
Yeah,
Listen to that while I'm
but
fishing.
you know that it took him. He only wrote really 2 songs while he was on the road. Most of the time, he'd be in studio, and it took him 6 months to write Night Moves. In fact, they were in Toronto. They tried recording it in Muscle Shoals. They were in Toronto. 2 of the band members got frustrated because they couldn't get it quite right and left. And then they found the right sound. And those 2 people that were in his band got missed out on all the royalties because they were not in the studio. They brought 2 other musicians in, man. So you never know, right? Keep going.
That's right. You never know. It's kind of like that old boy that was digging for gold and he quit, and other guys digging, and you see that picture of that dude that walked away from him. It was 2 feet away.
Yeah, keep going, man.
Yeah, always keep moving. So, Kevin E., I know we got to get to this. You were asking me earlier. We were asking you because Kevin E. is the new dad. We try to talk about that. And every time I turn around, my wife's asking me, how's Kevin E. and the baby? How's Ellis? How's everybody doing?
Oh, I appreciate that.
But so how's everybody doing? Good?
Yeah, man, everything's
You look a little
good.
tired.
A little
I'm
bit.
going to be honest with you. You came here
A little
today. He looked a little bit like Kramer from Seinfeld. His hair was all a little bit disheveled. because he knocked over his mixer.
Well, as you guys know, man, nothing really prepares you for that until it actually happens. You're like, wow, this was a bigger adjustment than I was expecting. I'm new at this.
Yeah, you are new at it, but can I tell off on you about the when you took her home from the hosptal?
Yeah, go
This
ahead.
is epic, dude. This is a great story. I want to tell you right now. It's okay. He's going to get the car, and they're walking, they're leaving, they're checking out, and you can add the story to make it better, but they were checking out, and he forgot to put the car seat in the car. And he's running around like a hair on fire, like Kevin E. will do, trying to get things just perfect because he is a perfectionist. Don't kid yourself. Every time we start one of these things, we have to start 20 minutes, an hour and a half late because
I do it every time.
the lighting's
I
not
can't
perfect.
help it. Yep.
So he gets there. He's tried to put the seat in the car seat. They're going home. His wife and him are going home. First-time parents, totally depending on each other. The baby, what do we do? How do I change a diaper? He's not even, he doesn't really know. What'd you do? You cut your...
Yeah, I was cutting tape and foam off of the car seat, and I just got a little too forceful, and my hand slipped and went into my thumb, and I completely severed my extensor tendon, and my thumb went all the way to the bone.
Dude, I can still see the scar, man.
Yeah, I still
is
don't
so
have
not
full movement
funny.
in my thumb yet. Like, I just got the splint off a couple days ago, so I'm just starting to use it again. But, yeah,
Eric.
we're on our way out, and then I'm being wheeled into the emergency room.
So he had to stay. This is what's precious. And I think he kind of made, when I told Carrie this, she goes, I think he might have did that on purpose because he's about to have to go take that baby home. And the wife, I can just imagine her coming up here going, seriously? Really?
Yeah.
Really? You're going to stay in the hospital bed, get some good drugs, relax, and I got to go home.
No, we all still went home together.
Oh, I thought you had to stay in the hospital.
No. We all still went together. They just stitched me up and sent me home, and then I had to have
Oh, so
surgery
you had
2
to play
days
hurt.
later.
I knew you had surgery. I just didn't know when.
Yep.
Wow, what a story, man.
But
That's
then taking care of a
epic.
newborn with this huge cast thing on my hand.
It's already hard enough being your first one, right? Now you're trying to change the diaper in one hand and trying to get it flipped around.
Yep. It was a disaster.
Well, speaking of that, man, we were talking and kicking it around, and I want you to, and just like we said earlier, man, we find some days, the kids, your life happens like that.
Yeah.
And you really don't control anything except those moments. That's all we have, really, right? Is those little moments. And as we're talking through this, I started thinking the other day, because, Edwin, you have kids that are,
3.
Yep.
3 daughters.
they're all grown up, out the door.
26, 22, and 20, and man, it goes fast.
It
Yeah.
does. And I've got some, 2 that are older and one that's high school, and that goes really super fast. And now I'm really very grateful for having that gap. I think 16 is when we had our youngest, when our middle was 16 or 15. So there's a big age difference. And everybody always says, oh, you had the little surprise on the little one. They look at her, pat her on the head, and I was like, nope, the first 2 were surprises. This one I counted on. I tried to talk Carrie into having like 5 kids, and she wasn't playing. And we tried right off the bat, bam, that last one, we got it right away. And I got upset, and she got upset. And I said, why are you mad? You said we could try it. She goes, I was hoping we were too old.
Oh, wow.
And she goes, why are you mad? That's all you've been wanting is a new kid. And I said, well, I was hoping it's going to take a little longer. Because, man, right off the bat, we got pregnant. I was like, dang, I thought we were going to have to practice. And I won't get into that. Anyway, Kevin E., top 10 things. Edwin, I want you to share your wisdom here, man.
Yep.
Being a dad, we talk about how things go so fast. And believe me, what I really want to do, I've loved doing my whole life is being a dad.
Yeah.
I still don't. I say it all the time. I'm not sure what I want to do when I grow up, but man, I will tell you one thing. I've loved being a dad. I have not been a perfect dad. I'm not the best dad, but that's what I love doing. It's been so much fun. I've gotten so much reward out of it, even when they were little, and now that they're older. You know, I've turned my roles a little different now. It's more of an advisor and you know, listener to them, opposed to telling them. We're more guiding them now. I'm glad they still come back and ask questions in business and, you know, obviously personally and about children. But top 10 things that you would tell your children, you should tell your children, things that we wish, what you would wish you would told them, or things that you have told them. I'd like to hear both of them, especially from you, man, because you're self-taught car with kids, and then maybe we end. I know it's going to be
I need this.
This is a long podcast because we kind of had fun at the beginning, but these 10 things, I think, and at the end, I'd like to end with the self-talk story again.
Sure, we'll definitely do that one. So I heard this. I'll start with the first one, and then I know you got several to contribute here, but what's the best question ever? Right, and so I remember asking that question. When you ask questions like that, it's high-impact questions. It's designed to upset people's status quo. So no matter how old they are, they're going to lean in. The younger they are, they're going to go, "What do you mean, Daddy?" You know, what's the best question ever? And you have some fun with it. But all my kids, even now, if you ask them that, and I told them when they were very young, the question is, what's the wise thing to do? Now, asking that of ourselves when we're in the middle of teenage years.
Again, I didn't say what you. I didn't do as I say, not as I do. Right?
What's the wise thing to do? But man, think about how much tragedy and how many mistakes could be avoided if we simply not what's the most popular thing to do, not what everybody's doing, but what's the wise thing to do. It applies to us professionally, personally. But have I always done the wise thing? Absolutely not. However, that filter, that question is still very, very relevant, and it's sticky, right?
Right.
My kids still know, right, what's the wise thing to do. So,
and then a lot of times they're gonna. I know you'd say that, but that's pretty powerful statement, not just to what you tell your kids either.
Yeah.
I got one. We'll kind of riff back and forth here, and you tell me.
Yeah.
This is something that, you know, I try to generationally try to break cycles with my children from things that we've happened, but telling them I love you. I mean, I think that you do that really well. Seems like you're always telling them that.
I do. I think I do.
And I think I have not done that. I don't think my older two heard me say that very often. I never was told that. My mom, now Nana, of course, she came up, told her she loved her all the time, tried to hug on me. I never would give it back. I was more like my dad. And I found out, in talking about breaking generational things, that my youngest, she says she loves you every time, every conversation, every leaving, everything she tells it. And she's always told my dad, love you, Paul, and he never will say it, ever. Mm. Until recently, he just said it, and she comes running in the back door. Paul said it. He said, I love you. And I wondered why he didn't. He said what he was taught growing up, if you say it, the more you say it, it cheapens it, which I get it, but I'm going to tell you something right now. Being from both sides of it, not saying it enough, man, get comfortable telling them you love them. Yeah. Because, as you know, you just never know, right?
Yeah.
But I think, and them being able to love on them, hug them, and don't stop hugging them. When the little girl, they get older and get more mature, some dads, you know, are worried about hanging. You just keep hugging those babies and keep hugging them and tell them that you love them, Kevin E., when they're little, when they're big, and once you tell them that. I'm telling them, the more you say it, the better it'll be.
I already do that all the time, so but I know it's different.
Maybe it was just me, but I felt like I needed to say that.
No, I think it's really important, and you know, generationally, our fathers, our grandfathers, you know, men were not supposed to show their emotion, and you know, that was supposed to come from the female. I'm really glad we've redefined what that looks like, but you know, I think going along with that same one, man, saying you love them, but also saying I'm proud of you,
man. That is easier to overlook sometimes than the I love you thing, because when you got a phone, you say I love you, but.
Yeah, and, you know, I'm proud of you. We have to be careful with that because I've instilled that in my kids, but I realized perhaps unintentionally I was creating this pressure where I never said you had to be perfect. I'm certainly not. I don't expect that. I do expect them to do their best. But, you know, they achieved so much, and there was so much to be proud of. I didn't want them to ever feel like they couldn't fail. Or they didn't have room to not execute at that level. So one of the things I learned, and man, this will be if you're out there right now and you're about to start taking your young people to play sport or dance or whatever, instead of focusing on the results of that game, this shifted for me a lot. You know, I would say, I am really glad I get to be here today to see you participate and go have fun. But there's nothing you're going to do on this field, good, bad, or indifferent, is going to change how I feel about you. You don't have to earn my love through your performance, whether that's dance, this, or that. Whether you make the basket or don't make the basket, go out there and take your shot. But, man, we as parents need to really hear that message, I think, because we're putting too much pressure on kids. And you can't escape that, man. You cannot escape the consequences of that pressure.
You know, just thinking as you're saying this, we need to bring our kids in here and have a podcast and ask those questions and let them say, "Well, I did feel pressure. My dad, I felt like if I didn't do it, you know, I wonder what my kids would say on some of that." And I think that they know that I'm proud of them. To your point of you scored the goals and you were the best ever. I would hop in the truck when my son would do well, and he would never really celebrate after he scored because I always, you know, pretend like, you know, except
like
when it really
right?
counted. Yeah, it seemed like you'd been there before. He did, but we talked about what the process was to scoring the goal. I mean, how did you feel like you did on that first goal when you came in? Well, I walked down here and I did that. I'm proud of the effort and the process you've done in practice. We were always proud of them. And I think that if you need help, ask for it, and if you don't, prove it kind of a deal. That's that right there. And that wasn't it. That I'm going to do that on the next point. But here's what the point I was going to say on that. You don't have to – you said this a while ago without – you almost said the whole quote. You don't have to be the best, but you have to give your best.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you said you don't have to be the best one out there. You know, you don't have to score the winning goal or whatever, but you got to go out there and play hard every time. So I'm proud of you. I mean, that's I hear – and Edwin is such a hard C when it comes down to those things. I mean, he's really always no, S. He's really S on the disc profile, the S. Because he's always checking in on the kids, the girls. You're always calling. You're always seeing how they're doing. And I hear you say it all the time, man. I hear you say, I'm proud of you. So, and I'm not saying you have to say you're proud of them when they, you know, just for taking a poop, Kevin E. You know, so good, which sometimes.
Well, there's a time and a place for that.
Yeah. See, I think some of these people say, I tell my wife, take off your Newman colored glasses. They're not, that wasn't that great.
Yeah.
My youngest daughter's, there's a thing called gifted and talented, it used to be. It's called GATE. Yeah, if you're GATE, that's GATE. So when Lily was born, she was the greatest thing ever, and she'd walk around, that's GATE. That's GATE. So now everything a kid does, something, that's GATE. He's the smartest kid ever. That's GATE. That's what I say to my grandbabies now. All right, what else you got? Anything else? Top 10? Oh, is it me? You got the next one?
You, man. You got the next one.
This is a tough one for me. And we wrote some of these down here. I'm sorry. Telling your kids you're sorry, especially after you go off and you've been wrong, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're supposed to be the dad. You're supposed to be the perfect one. You're supposed to be the strong one. I mean, I have problems saying I'm sorry anyway. I try to own it. Now I'm really a lot better at it now. I get it over with. It's like eating that frog, right? I go there right away. If it's not my fault and I say it was me, I'm sorry. Shouldn't have done that. What can I do to make it better? And don't say I'm sorry, but. I'm sorry, but you did that. I'm sorry, but you did that. You know, they say when you say but, it doesn't count, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you're pretty easy with that one?
You know what, man? I had to grow into that one. I think now I do. I think probably through a lot of just sheer being wrong a lot. I had a lot of opportunity to apologize. But I would say that's an area that I'm pretty strong in, that I am able to say I'm sorry and move on. My wife struggles in that area. And I don't mean that critically towards her, right? We can laugh about it, and it is funny. But it's how we're wired, right? And so she also has a protective state, and it's for some they see it as a sign of weakness, but I think it's a sign of grace, dignity, and respect when you can own your mistakes, and it's a great lesson for our kids, for sure. And man, I'm on this bandwagon now. I'm sorry, I'll stop with this.
Keep on, baby.
But that when we take the glaring issues of our society, we have a society of entitlement, and nobody's ever owns anything anymore, man. So I think it's a really important point. We need to teach them that balance. And
I've always done that to them, making them, if you did something wrong, you own it. Right now, you tell them, I'm sorry, I was emotional. I said this, and this. And this just happened with Lily and her cousin got in an argument, and she was upset because he may go to a different high school. Well, Lily laid into him. He was coming up being a freshman. She's going to be a senior. They're going to go to the same school, possibly play on the same field, do all these great things like all the other Newmans did, all that. She's excited. He's the only one that's going to bounce possibly and go to a different high school. She got mad, and I said, what happened? She goes, we wouldn't talk to me, ignored me, walked off and got upset, and they said things they shouldn't have said. And I said, you call him. He's not going to answer, and then you text him. You own it. You tell him you're sorry. You tell him why you were so upset, because it meant so much to me, because you love him and all those things. And you get it's okay. It's easy for me to say they need to do that, but when I'm having to send that text or make that phone call, it's been a little different for me.
Yeah.
But I got to do it. What else you got?
I think being able to teach them the importance of being vulnerable, saying, hey, it's okay to be scared. It's okay to have fear. It's not okay to let that paralyze you, right? You got to define what fear is. You got to define I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't want to be embarrassed, right? And I think this is really critical in this social media world we live in, right? Kids' mental health right now, teenagers, young people's mental health, critically important. We have to teach them how to be vulnerable, that they do not have to live a perfect life. An Instagram life, a Facebook life is an illusion, right? So we have to teach them these layers. So I think expressing that to them and giving them an outlet to be able to say that back to you without judgment, right?
Okay, that's great. I'm going to ask you this. What about saying that, being that without coming across too weak, and people don't mistake my kindness for weakness? If they keep coming in and they've apologized to their friend and their friend comes back strong on them, I mean, I don't know. It's okay to be vulnerable, and I want them to be vulnerable, but I also want them to understand who they are, whose they are, and being able to stand for what they need to stand for. But own it when they make the mistake, right? It's okay to make a mistake, but it's just not okay to let it sit there. You got to, when you make the mistake, because, and I've said this recently to my nephew and a couple of other people in my family, in the end, you're not going to be judged by the mistake you made. You're going to be judged on how you respond to it.
Yeah, what I think I hear you there say, Michael, and we'll touch on this as we conclude, is understand yourself, be self-aware in your identity for who you are, man, and you cannot allow people to manipulate or push you or stuff. That I call that dignity and strength as well, right? So knowing who you are and having that foundation, I think is really, really important. And people lose their way on that. Other people begin influence. So I think, that combination of say it's okay, however, you've got this foundation of who you are and whose you are. I think it's a nice, but it is a balance that they have to have both.
Yeah.
Right? It's like spinning plates, man. Being a parent and persists, guys. Right?
Everybody here that's listening to this probably knows that. Head up and humble. It's okay. You can be. It's like ego. Ego and character are the same, or necessity to both. Having an ego is not bad, right?
Right.
That's why you've been successful. That's why you were able to work through the process, take the shot, be successful in whatever area you've been in as a child. It's that character, and that's that foundation I think you're talking about, E. And that's that humility that you've been taught. That's you're a good person because of whose you are and what you've been taught. And being vulnerable is okay, but that keep your head up and stay humble while you do it. I think that's kind of what I heard you say there, and that's pretty powerful. Different way to say it.
It is, and I think taking some time for yourself, man. If we're always in this instantaneous world, we don't get a chance to fuel ourselves, right?
Good point.
So reading, reflecting, journaling, one of the things that I don't do that should do, right? We've all got things we should do, but I'm really proud of my children for doing is they journal and they write their ideas. Some of them, my oldest daughter in particular. My youngest daughter just wrote a beautiful piece that, I cried over, quite frankly, but it was a reflection back as many people were impacted her senior year of high school through COVID. They lost so many memories. She's now rising to her senior year in college. And what she had learned in that period, and we were aware of some of the challenges. We're talking about a very accomplished kid,
Mm-hmm.
who I'm referring to, obviously.
Yeah, right.
And everybody would think she's got it all by the tail, right?
Yeah.
But she was struggling, man, and struggling at a much deeper level than what we realized. So we just have to find that balance. I think we really have a role to play to allow them to fail, to discover who they are, to make mistakes, but also to bring them back to that foundation, man. And that's what happened. Is she found herself back to the foundation that she had attached to, and now she's better as a result, stronger.
And they go and I think.
But journaling is critical towards that.
Yep. And this is my last one. I'll let you go in there and wrap it up on this one. But pointing out the fact, letting them fail. Number one, let them fail, Kevin E.
Yeah.
Let her struggle.
Yeah.
You want them hard. Yeah, that's going to be the toughest one for me. Let them struggle. Let them skin their knee while they're at your house, because you don't want them to come back in their 20s and 30s and be, oh, I suck at this, and I went out and did this, because you never let them fail. Mm-hmm. So let them fail. But why is it better to do that? It's because when my dad would tell me, hey, boy, don't climb that tree, you're going to hurt yourself. One time he'd pull me out of the tree. Then he would go climb the tree. I'd go do it again, and guess what he'd do? He'd go get a beer, get his neighbor, Jerry Glover, and they'd drink a beer and say, watch this boy's about to bust his ass. Mm-hmm. And he'd let me. But when I'm little and I make the mistake and I fall, I'd come running back home to who? Dad. And my dad dropped down on one knee, put the Band-Aid on, and while he's putting the Band-Aid on, he's telling me, listen, son, the reason I didn't want you to climb that tree because this hurt, didn't it? And when you're in pain or when somebody upsets your status quo, you're open for learning, but more important, retention. And so when we're little, I've let and this is going through, with my 16-year-old right now, she's done, made mistakes, and I knew it was coming. I knew what was about to happen, and we let her go through it. And what you just said a while ago made me think of saying this, Edwin, is the fact that because she went through it, I sat back down, we walked through the process, and she's better for it. Yeah. And now she knows how to handle confrontation. She knows how to make a mistake. She knows how to own it. She knows how to negotiate. She knows how to mediate. She knows how to sell. All these soft skills is going to be the critical thing for her in her generation growing up because of all this AI coming in that's going to change. But let them make mistakes. Talk through it. Tell them it's okay to be scared. I'm scared. And tell them you love them.
Yeah, and then the last thing is the power of positive self-talk, and that's something that I'm very, very...
Time out. I just want you to know what we're about to say right now. Rewind. Pay attention. Listen to this, guys. The positive self-talk, because when they have the little boy great breaks their heart, they're going to be able to come back quicker. When they make a mistake and fail a test, they're going to be able to come back. When they let their parents down, the people they most do not want to let down, this is going to be the key element to get them to come back stronger, faster, and be better for. Edwin, go ahead.
So I would say this is my signature moment. As Michael and I travel around the world speaking, we challenge people. What is your signature moment, right? And we're going to be doing a podcast later called If Not Now, When. But I was moved to write, moving from success to significance. Zig Ziglar inspired me in this, and I wrote these words. And it's a self-talk card for children that I only intended to go around just for my own kids. The truth of the matter is now, I've been almost 18 years ago, it's now been on every continent, every human populated continent in the world.
It's been all over the world, man.
Yeah, Latin America,
it's
Europe,
cool for me seeing you.
Asia,
You shared it a long way before I even met you.
Yeah.
And we're talking. People stop you in the airport. People come in and say, "I've shared it with my kids, my grandkids." It made a huge difference in my daughter's life, who was failing school, had low self-esteem, and now it's better.
Yeah, you got to equip them with self-talk, and we'd love to make that a gift of you. So if you see this podcast and you would like the Edge Global Self-Talk Card for Children, man, just reach out. But the words are this: I was born to win. God and my family love me. I was fearfully and wonderfully made. I'm special and valuable. And today I'm going to do my best with an attitude of gratitude. Man, that encapsulates everything that we've talked about here. When you equip them with that, man, it gives them that foundation that when somebody says something negative or tries to hurt them, more importantly, they're speaking their own truth into themselves. And you have to have that. We need it as adults. We need it as children. Mm-hmm. So equip them with a powerful self-talk message, I think, is critical. And one of the 10 things you definitely need to be doing with your kids.
Yeah, you put it on a 3x5 card. You stuck it under the pillow. They read it every night before they go to bed. Hey, guys, for you, stick it on your mirror, your window, and your rear view mirror. Always be putting positive, powerful things into yourself because there's so much negativity out there. Thanks for stopping in today. Great one. I mean, Kevin
Thanks,
E.
Man.
You get it all. We weren't preaching at you, brother.
No, thank you.
You got it all, right?
The only thing I'm struggling with now is how do you get the time to yourself?
Yeah. Well, about 18 years from now.
Yeah, you'll have all the time you want, man.
Yeah, you guys will have it. I don't
Little
know.
Johnny will be coming by, and you'll be going, wait a minute, what am I going to do tonight?
Get the gun. Hey, guys, thank y'all for stopping in tonight. Thank you for hanging out with us. If you need something, reach out. We can come see you in your hometown. We can get on virtually, guys. We got all kind of cool tools to help you be the person that you were meant to be. We'll see you at the top. Keep winning, guys. And remember this, play hard, have fun, and above all else, make it count. See you, brother.